They tried to measure us by time, by place, by what already passed. But the Raiders were never history. They were built for what comes next. A man once said, "The greatness of the Raiders is in its future." The shield was forged in commitment to excellence. No shortcuts, no explanations, only standards. Silver. Black. Forever. Just win, baby. Not pretty. Not easy. Just win. Once you wear the shield, you never take it off. Once a Raider, always a Raider. From Oakland to Los Angeles to Las Vegas, the torch never dimmed, the fire never left. This is Pride and Poise.
What's going on, Raider Nation? Welcome to Raiders Pride and Poise. I'm your host, Raiders First Downs. My second episode of my solo program that I'm putting together. For those of you that are new, hit those likes, subscribe to my channel, Raiders First Downs on YouTube. Hit those thumbs up, ring that bell for notifications, and that way I can get my numbers up and start coming up, give you guys a little bit more insight and more of a fan feeling, I guess you can say. But today's show, the purpose of it is driven to, let's just face it, let's start off with the overall season and what the expectations are in the NFL going forward and what our expectations are as Raider fans. As Raider fans, we're going to sit back and watch Sunday's game with quite a bit of interest. Why is that? Why are we going to watch the game? Why are we going to be so interested in it? Well, it's pretty simple. Our possible head coach, and I say possible because nothing has been signed yet. Right? So things can change. I'm confident that this is a done deal, that the verbal agreement is solid to the point to where I don't think anything extraordinary is going to happen. But you know and I know, being a Raider fan, you just never know. Right? Kind of that same feeling when Walt Coleman was called over to the sideline on a snowy day in New England and decided to put the headphones on and review a call that was pretty obviously that was a fumble, right? We'll be dialing. Our possible head coach is going to be dialing up the plays for the NFC Championship team this weekend. So, how does that make you feel? What kind of excitement does that give you? What are you looking for? What is it that are you salivating to just see what happens this weekend? Because the team that they're going to play is very creative. Their coaching staff is very creative on neutralizing an offense. So there's a lot of aspects that are going to go into this week's game. Plus, you have 2 weeks off, or you have 2 weeks to prepare for the game. Okay, it's at a neutral site. Okay, so the crowd and the fans are going to be more of a neutral setting for them. There's going to be more aesthetics that are presented in the game, longer television commercial breaks, things like that. They really could affect the ebb and flow of what the Super Bowl is. And a lot of those things kind of annoy me because I get it, the halftime show, we got to get the entertainment out there and nice 30-minute presentation so everybody, because they pay a lot of money and there's a lot of money invested, and I get it. The money makes that program work, right? But I also like the games to flow, and especially if I'm watching it as not as a fan of either team, but I like to see the game flow, and that's one of the things that I kind of over the years have grown frustrated with the Super Bowl, because it seems like it's become more of a commercial atmosphere than it is an actual football game. But before I get started, I want to jump in here real quick. I got some people that are coming into the chat. First off, I'm going to start off with Raider Ryan here. Salute to you, brother. Until I hear from Max himself, I no longer feel the hype, even if it come from Glazinator. Yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more later on. First, I'm going to cover the Super Bowl. We'll get through the Super Bowl part of it first. And then if I forget, Ryan, just remind, if you're still in the chat, remind me, because I want to come back to it and make this a topic of discussion, because, we all know that things are said, things are heard, and people want to believe what they want to believe, Of course, I got my chat in there. Well, I don't know. Jack, and I hate to say this, not everybody knows what your name actually means. I do. It's a very good play on words, but I know Captain Jack Rackham last night, he kind of hacked the name up, and I'm like, ooh, you might want to read that before you start spouting it off. So, but anyways, Jack, I much appreciate you being in here. There's 15 people. I see 15 people watching. If you're on X, follow me on X. I appreciate you following me out on X, but if you could do me a favor, jump over to YouTube and see what it's like on YouTube, and chat it up on YouTube, and then subscribe to my channel on the YouTube side. And then that way your notifications, you'll get better notifications out of it. Plus, we grow this platform on the YouTube side. I want to give a big shout out to the boss in and of himself, 401_Raider_Jeff, for allowing us to use this platform. And being in the studio, he's been a big help, great mentor on this, and a great friend. And so be it. And he's a good friend forever. He's always got a good ear for everybody. He never, well, he's kind of ignoring me now, but he'll get over it. Tyler McCosker, I think that's a play on words, but I'm going to leave it alone. Thanks for coming in over there on the kick side, YouTube. And then Tyler, you are spamming. Please don't spam. I'll give you a chance to kind of clean it up before we get going any farther. But it's a small channel, so spamming isn't going to get you anywhere anyways. Marcus Banks just hopping in here with me. Marcus Banks, once again, OG brother. We go back. Titans fan, but he's always welcome at Allegiant Stadium. If he ever was to go to Allegiant Stadium, he will be taken care of. Trust me. He's a friend, not a foe, by any means. So thanks for joining us. And anybody else in there, if you haven't hit the keyboard yet, hit send. Hit it on your phone. I'm running vertical. I'm running horizontal. Let me know which one you prefer. If you prefer just in the horizontal, you prefer in the vertical. I mean, we can do that, And so, but doing it in both, it gives everybody options. You got options on how you want to watch this show, right? Now, I'm not going to be a barn burner, okay? We already got one Mitchell Rentz. Let him do his thing. But this one's more core, so we can actually, do it as fans and not have a lot of stupidity and all these funky adjectives that they like to throw into their programs. And that's them. It's fine. It's entertaining. But at the same time, we also hear that this enterprise, we like to keep it real, right? And, nobody's always right. Nobody's always wrong. But I can tell you this. Just remember, I'm not here to coddle anybody. Okay. Nor am I here to make you mad. All right. If I make you mad, let me know. Okay. Because I don't want to make enemies. And then if we can't talk about it or talk about our differences, then what's the use of even discussing or having any type of dialogue over our our passion, which is what? I mean, you can see it right here. It's the Raiders, right? So if you're in there, make your chats known. Come with it. Tell your friends, get them in here. I know you got friends sitting around doing nothing right now. Tell them. Discord, any of my Discord guys, where you at? Make yourself known. Hit them buttons, man. Let's talk, chop it up. I know the Discord was rocking and rolling at 4 o'clock this morning when I saw it, and it hasn't let up. So, make yourself known. All right. So let's get into this. First, we're going to start off with, let's talk about Seahawks and Patriots key matchups. What are you looking for in this? Throw it in the chat. What you think you're looking? What do you think is going to be a deciding factor in this game? I'm looking forward to Jackson Smith and Jigba going against Christian Gonzalez. I think that's going to be a really fun matchup to watch, just to see how that plays out. Secondly, is how is Seattle's run game? Who they're not going to have Charbonnet this week. Charbonnet's out the rest of the season, so it's going to be Walker, okay, and then they're going to have to figure out a way to substantiate and keep that run game going that they've already established. That run game, the Seattle's run game has been very impressive, very efficient. I know some people have gone out and said, well, they're 25th. The last 5 games are 25th in rushing, and things are askew with numbers, and I get that. But sometimes, even though that they don't hit that century mark as a team, sometimes the running game in of itself, 80 yards, sometimes 80 yards could be sufficient to prolong a drive, to get you an extra set of downs, to get you maybe across that 50 a little bit quicker with time on the clock in the first half, to where you can get some points. It's all about the points, right? And timing and scoring is very important. Understand that, especially, we talk about game managers as quarterbacks, right? Quarterback's a game manager. Well, that's one of their priorities as a quote unquote game manager, is to make sure their team is going in the right direction and getting in position to satisfy the scoreboard and keep people happy, and knowing that when the fourth quarter comes around, they didn't put themselves in bad positions and lose the game because of mistakes they made first, second, third quarter. Don't waste downs. I truly believe an effective run game, 3 5 yard runs are effective because they can continue to give you those options and opportunities to keep those first downs going. And then strike when the iron's hot, right? Strike when the iron's hot. So sometimes it's not very beneficial to rely on your passing game and making your passing game the focal point of your offense. There's one team in particular right now that I truly believe would be in the Super Bowl right now had they not abandoned the run game and stayed with the passes, had not abandoned the run game and utilized it a little bit more late in the third quarter into the fourth quarter. They would be in the Super Bowl this year, and they would have beat the Chiefs last year, and that's the Buffalo Bills. And I truly think I don't understand why they fired their head coach and kept the offensive coordinator, because the offensive coordinator was one making those calls. But I'm sitting there watching the game. You can go back and watch when we had the watch party over on 401 Raider Jeff's channel. I'm like, they just stopped running the ball. Why did they stop running the ball? That's the most stupidest thing that they could have done, because that kid was on fire. I mean, he had 70 yards in the first quarter. Yeah, he put the ball on the ground. Okay. Well, you take him out for a series. You get him over the sideline. You hook him up with this running back coach. What caused the fumble? Where were you at? What were you thinking? Did you relax? Were you relaxing your grip when you were hitting that hole? Work on some of the fundamentals on the sideline and say, hey, is he ready? Is your head in the game? And get it back in there. So that's going to be a key component. I think this week, the run game is going to be important. I think the run game is going to be even more important for the Patriots. because they have a second-year quarterback in Drake May going out onto the field in probably the biggest game he's ever played in his life. Now, mind you, he never experienced championship football at the college level. Okay, so he's going to have to. This is something new, and he just played in the AFC Championship game. And yeah, it was bad weather, but he kind of struggled a little bit, even when the weather wasn't as bad at the beginning of the game. He's still struggling a little bit. So, and you guys all know that the defense is the intensity of the defense, the outlier of the defense, and the scheme of the defense is a totally different ball game when they get into the Super Bowl and the championship games and what you play in a regular season. So earlier on, those are some of the matchups. Do you guys have any? If you guys have any key matchups that you want to discuss, throw them in the chat. Marcus, if you're out there, man, hey, lay something out there. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. But at the same time, because if not, I'm gonna move on. So, let's start while you guys are clamoring. If people are just clamoring to get in here and chop it up, but let's start with the injury report. I'm gonna start with the Seahawks injury report. We have Nick Imanura did not practice on Thursday. He has an ankle injury. Word is that should be good to go for the game. Offensive tackle Charles Cross has a foot injury, limited participation. He's questionable. Robbie Aus, he's got a neck. It sounds like he's going to be out because of the injury. The type of injury that he has is just not calming down. So it's one of those that it's probably best just to not even try and use the offseason to regain your health. Sam Darnold, full participation with that oblique injury. And from what it sounds like is his participation in practice has been greater than what it has been since he's had the injury. So it looks like he's going to be a full participant, no limitations, which also in turn might open up a little bit more of that offense for him. Ernest Jones, linebacker, he's got a chest injury. He's full participation. Josh Jones, ankle, knee, full participation. Julian Love, safety, shoulder, for full participation. Brady Russell, the fullback, he's got a hand injury. He's a full participation. Eric Sauber, the tight end, hamstring, full participation. Drake Thomas, he's full participation as well. So getting back to Robbie Outs, the fullback, his status remains concerning as he's missed the NFC Championship game with that neck injury, and the injury, it just needs to calm down before he can even think about going full contact. And then we discussed earlier about Zach Charbonnet not being available for the game with the torn ACL, which, man, I hate to see guys tear their ACL, but especially at the end of a season when your team's on a championship run. So let's jump on over to the Patriots injury report. We got Drake May has a right shoulder, plus he had illness this week. He was a full participation in Friday's practices. He's listed as active, so we don't have anything there. He's just basically a administrative add to the injury report. You never want to get caught not putting him on the injury report when you have situations like that. You get in big trouble. Here's one that's Here's one that's concerning for the Patriots is Robert Spillane. You guys all know Robert Spillane. Wish we still had him. He played very good this year for New England. I kind of knew when we didn't re-sign him that was going to be a bad deal for us, and it was a benefit for New England. But he did not participate today in practice as questionable. And let's get into the synopsis of it. The team's leading tackler is battling an ankle injury, although he expressed 100% confidence that he would play earlier in the week. His absence from Friday's practice does raise some concern. Now, you guys know that depending on the severity and what type of ankle injury it is, if it's a high ankle sprain or the type of that you just roll your foot, a lower ankle sprain, depending on this type of ankle sprain that he has, whether or not he could tape it up and go. So we'll see. That's one that kind of, if he isn't able to go, that's gonna put a big dent in their defense with the key green dot guy not being available. All right, we also got linebacker Harold Landry. He didn't practice today either. All right. He's got a lingering knee injury. He was downgraded from limited to non-participant between Thursday and Friday, putting his availability in significant doubt. Thayer Mumford, limited participation today, questionable with the knee injury. Joshua Farmer with the hamstring is a full participant, will be active. And running back Terrell Jennings has a hamstring and was moved to the injured reserve. He is out. So that's the injury reports for both teams at this time. If you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns regarding that, just let me know. But we'll get into it. So, Money Chuck, thanks for coming in, my friend. Thanks for coming in. Key matchup, Travion Henderson versus Seattle's defense. How do you see that going, Jason? Well, Seattle's defense, their front four is pretty solid against the run. Now, I know the Rams had a little bit of success running the ball against him. I don't think Travion Henderson is quite up to that Rams running game. He's electrifying. Don't get me wrong, but he's a more of a opportunistic type running back versus creating his own opportunities. It's more seasoned opportunities when they're there. So you look for him if for some reason they can get that wide zone clicking a little bit against the Seahawks. He's going to have early success in early in the game, early downs. You're going to probably see him, with a few carries, get up in that 20, 25, 30-yard range fairly quickly. But that will start to bring those linebackers into play. So the linebackers will start moving up a little bit, tighten up that front seven. Maybe even switch over to an odd man front with and have an extra DB that can tackle come in. But I truly think here's the deal. Josh McDaniels was offensive coordinator. If you come out and you shut down his run game, what does he do? He relies heavily on the pass. Now, if you become predictable with your passing game with Drake May, that's going to be a problem. So the score could actually get away from them very quickly if they start to abandon that run. You got to stay to the run. Even if you go 8-10 yards in the first quarter, that second quarter, you still got to be dedicated to get that run going. Don't quit. As soon as you give up on the run and they get 2-3 scores ahead of you, then now you're very predictable. Did you hear the founder of Hall's Auctions died recently? His last request was there be no coffin at his funeral. Nice front burner. Thanks, man. Yeah. So, having said that, that's Money Chuck brings up a really good matchup. Travion Henderson versus Seattle's defense. That's got to be very key for New England as to getting him going. Take a little pressure off that young quarterback so he doesn't feel like he has to make all the plays, because that's very important for young quarterbacks. Is when you send him out on the field and he's tightening his chin strap up, it's like, okay, I know the other 10 guys are going to produce, so I just have to do my part and nothing more to help this team. So now that we've talked about that, there's some other key elements to this game that are going to be very interesting. And I'm looking at it from a standpoint of New England's special teams. Now, Travion Henderson, I don't know if they still have him returning kicks. I know they did at the beginning of the year, and he was electrifying in returning kicks. Their punt return game, it's susceptible, but just like any other team, that if you don't prepare and you don't stay disciplined and stay to your assigned lanes, there could be some special team scores going on and some defensive scores as well. Now, I'm curious to see what the turnover rate is going to be like in this game. Let's flip over to Seattle's side of the coin, and with their special teams. And what do you guys think from them You know, do you drop back Jackson Smith and Jigba on a punt return one or two times in the game, just to see if you can steal a score? Maybe. I mean, it's the last game of the season. All chips are on the table. You know, we've already hit the flop and the turn. You know, so we're just waiting for that last card, and so you might as well just go do what you got to do to win the game. Uh, we got one of our OGs popping in, Rosetown, probably one of the best Raider fans to hit up in the chat. Welcome, Rosetown. Salute to the nation. Anybody else in here that wants to chat it up? I mean, hop in. Tell your friends, man. This is only my second show, so solo. Tuesday nights I do Show Me Your Shield with Donuts Duncan, where we try and bring in Raider fans and talk about Raider fandom, and try not so much to push evil dissension amongst ourselves, because as you know and I know that lately it just seems like that's what's happening, and we need to kind of get away from that, stay a little bit more connected and more united on the front, and hold it down. It's very important because our organization, believe it or not, that organization depends on us more than we depend on them. So if we start to implode as Raider fans and destroy each other, then it's going to make it harder overall for the whole Raider Nation. So just have that in mind. And I'm guilty of, trust me, I'm guilty of being a butthole and in the chat. And recently it kind of got away a little bit. I own it. I don't regret it, but I own it. But just make it fair. That's all. Make it fair. Speaking of Donuts Duncan, there he is right there. Salute, my friend. Next, we got Rosetown. Good thing Matt shut down those trade rumors. Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. The trade. I kind of got a little perspective of my own as to that whole situation. You know, did he have that conversation with Jake Glazer? That's a good question. Did he actually have a conversation in a similar context, but Jay Glazer only took bits and pieces of it to report on? Because a man of Max's stature in the situation that we're in as a franchise, him being who he is and how he performs and how he plays and how he prepares and the things that he's done in his 8-year career, and nothing has transpired to help this man out to get him to a point where he deserves a championship, right? Because you guys, I think he deserves a championship. He's done everything for us that we can imagine. Is he a stat king? No, he's barely, top 15, top 20 in sacks. Is he capable of being in the top? Oh yeah, most definitely. But there's more to his game than just the sacks. He makes plays, right? And he does it sometimes at the most opportune time to give the rest of our team a chance to win. So we can't discredit what Max Crosby has done for this franchise. Is he upset? He has every right to be upset the way things have gone for at least the last 5 years since the John Gruden email. Since we've had that debacle, we haven't recovered from that. You guys know that we haven't recovered. It's been like a hot press. So do we? How do we recuperate that? How do we tell Max, that's it? We're gonna get this fixed now, Max. Stay with us, Max. Stay with us. Keep talking. Stay with us. How do we do that? Well, let's get the front office right. Okay. What's the hierarchy? What's the calling card? And I think also too, what will benefit Max is taking away his ability to have any type of senior lead, quote unquote, senior leadership input on decisions made. So, Max, go play ball, right? Yeah. If you got comments, questions, or concerns, give them to us. We'll listen, but we can't let him influence us in those decisions. Love Max. He's a Raider through and through. I don't want to see him leave. But you know what? I didn't want Kenny Stabler to leave either, and they traded him. I didn't want to see Khalil Mack get traded. They traded him. I didn't want to see Marcus Allen walk out the door as a free agent. They let him walk out the door as a free agent. You know. So things happen. It's the power of the business and the attrition within. We just got to roll with the punches because ultimately it's us that carries the shield. It's our responsibility to keep the shield high and proud and then let the players embrace it. I know we're here for them. I know I've heard a lot of people say ain't no player bigger than the shield. That's absolutely true. There is no player in the NFL that's bigger than the shield. You know, so my question to Max is if he did, and he wouldn't have to answer it directly to me. Obviously, I'm a nobody, right? I'm just some old man that's retired and sits in front of a computer and makes content, I guess you can call it. And he's in no way obligated. But if for some reason I was to have that one-on-one conversation with him, this is what I would say. I would say, if you did tell Jay Glazer those things in a roundabout way, in the context in which Jay Glazer brought him back, don't be ashamed of it, okay? Because sometimes venting, there's a difference between venting and actually being totally 10 toes in of, nope, you got to trade me. I'm not playing for you guys. Big difference. And we see that as Raider fans. We can tell when you're not in. If you don't want to play because you can't wear the right helmet, you burnt your feet in a cryo chamber, or you don't want to play for us because you didn't get your foot fixed like you were supposed to in the off season, or you don't want to play for us because we got rid of your college quarterback and now you're playing with a quarterback that you don't like, and so on and so forth. If you want to go, go. We're still here. We're still gonna be Raider fans. Ain't nothing gonna change it. I was born into it. Players come, players go. Just the hard part about it is right now is us as Raider fans have always embraced our legends, and we're running out of legends to embrace. So just take that into consideration, Max. If you did say that, that's fine. You have every right to be upset and express yourself to that degree to Jay Glazer. Now for Jay Glazer, let's talk about him. Man he had somewhat of a reputation as anytime he broke information, breaking news firsthand, he had firsthand information. It wasn't he was making stuff up, woke up, pulled his head off the pillow and said, I think I'll tell Raider Nation this, or I'll tell Fox, I'll go on Fox with Howie and the guys and tell them this because that's how I feel. Well, he's usually pretty good about having first-hand information. And usually when Jay Glazer says something, it was like, okay, that's real. Above and beyond the credibility of Adam Schefter and Tom Pelissero and, Andrew, whatever his name was, the guy that had the big ears that used to be on the NFL Network. I don't think he has his connections as much. Back in the day, it was Peter King and Chris, what's his name? Chris passed away of cancer here not too long ago. Anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about. Those guys usually had first-hand information. And usually when they relayed that information, it was pretty dead on. But this one here, I think it kind of hurts the credibility of Jay Glazer. Let's face it. First thing out of his mouth in that interview was he talked about his ADHD. And at that point, I'm like, okay, hold on. ADHD sometimes that old adage of squirrel. Yeah, just they kind of get into that mode. Uh, so I didn't see anything that Mag said that shuts down his trade rumors. If anything, he didn't address it, nor was asked. What did I miss? Uh, I haven't seen it. As far as video takes, I'm just reading some synopsis of uh, um, rumors that he spoke about it today. Never mentioned anything about wanting to be traded. He's a Raider. He lives in Vegas. His home is in Vegas, and he plans on staying in Vegas. And that was, I say those things not in quotations because I can't quote him. I didn't see him directly from him, but those are kind of what was relayed to me through what I read. And these are articles I want to say Bleacher Report, but don't quote me on that. It was an article I read this morning or this afternoon, excuse me. It was a couple hours ago I read it. But we'll just leave it at that. So if for some reason he does get traded, I'm not going to be upset about it because I know the team is in a certain position right now in growth. That do we want to take a chance and hold on to him and make him, because there could be, with him being an 8-year veteran and we get a bunch of rookies and 2 and 3 year veterans, is there going to be a strong disconnect of how they participate, how they play with each other? You see what I'm saying? So we got to be mindful of that as well. Plus, his value right now is greater than it's ever going to be. Max Crosby's value is only going to deteriorate when we go into 2026 and we kick off and he's still on the roster. His value is going down, and it's going to go down, and it's going to go down, and eventually it's not going to be worth us to trade him. We just write it out, or we let him go ahead and hit the free agent market, and let him know that when you're ready to when you're done with your career and you're ready to come back home, you'll always be welcome at home. He's gonna, once a Raider, always a Raider. He's it. I'll say it right now. He's done what it takes to be that. It just sucks that we don't have more of him to embed with him when we come back, to where we can say Max Crosby, Raider, this guy played with Max. They were like this, like some of our heroes when we were growing up, the Howie Long. You can obviously see Howie Long's one of my favorite players of all time. But, you got Greg Townsend, Bill Bickel, Bob Golick, Scott Davis, even Sean Jones to a certain degree, but Sean Jones left pretty early in his career when he went to Houston, and then ended up in Green Bay and played real well in Green Bay. There's been a lot of guys in that early '80s to mid '90s that today they walk in the building, they're still a Raider, no questions asked. If Crosby leaves, don't mean he can't or won't come back to get top picks, and he has a chance to win after a few years. Come back to us like Woodson did. Yeah, you know what? If he was to leave for a couple of years and then come back and play a ceremonial season with us or sign a 1-day contract, I'm okay with that as well. I'm never going to have hatred over him. In fact, even with what Jay Glazer said, I'm not mad at that. I'm not. If he said it, he has a right to say that. He's earned it. But for those guys that have been here 15 minutes or played only 5 games for us or only played 1 season and then 2 or 3 games into the second season, he's whining and crying about the atmosphere and I need to get the F out of here. I'm going to end up dead. I've never been hit so hard in my life. Now, granted, I like DeMonte. Don't get me wrong. But come on, man. We take pride in that when we see our players out there saying those things. It pisses me off. I myself, what the hell you want? I just spent $1,000 to come here and watch you play. Bought a jersey, bought a bunch of souvenirs because I'm a Raider fan, and now you don't want to be here? What's the problem? Maybe you should have thought of that before you came here. You know, because we're still going to be here. Okay, you guys play 10, 12, 13 years in the NFL, and you ride off into the sunset with all your money. And granted, some people deserve it and some people don't. Um, but we, long and short of it's our team. You know, I used to hear all the time, "You work for me, I pay your salary." Well, guess what, Raider players, you work for us, we pay your salary. And if you don't think so, just think about it for just a second, where your money comes from. Hardworking Americans that want just to be entertained and watch a bunch of guys play football, a sport that we all love. And a lot of us dreamed about playing, but just physically or just couldn't do it. It takes a special talent to get to the NFL. Don't overlook that. You guys are special people in the NFL. Yeah, Rosetown. He's staying in Vegas. The only objective that I have to it is he's staying in Vegas, but going to go play somewhere else. Leave his family here because I believe his wife is embedded in the community as well with some business type stuff that she does. Um, don't quote me on that, but I believe him talking about it that the community aspect of it is they're already growing their family into that part of it. So right, wrong, or indifferent, if he does go play somewhere else, does he just live here in Summerlin or I believe Summerlin is where he lives? If he's still staying there doing his thing, hey, that's people do that all the time. Everything is established there for him. I believe you're talking about, yeah, and I think it's kind of what we're talking about now, Rosetown, is that he's got everything established. He's built a home. His daughter. He probably likes the schools and the ambiance of where he lives because you got to let's face it, like in Summerlin, that community's gorgeous, man, and I wish I could live there. you know. But so it's one of those deals where maybe that's just as important to him is to stay here, um, not just for the football aspect, but for the family aspect of it as well. Um, Max said that he wouldn't rather be anywhere else. He's got his shit on his body. Yeah, the tattoo thing, um, I get it, and he's gonna have a sense of loyalty to the Raiders because let's face it, we took him in the fourth round, right? And the knock on him was he wasn't big. He just wasn't big enough to play defensive line in the NFL. He was built more like a power forward than he is an edge rusher, and he grew his man body. He got him a man body, and he parlayed that into his play, the way he plays, and it's very effective. So, um, but as far as the tattoos, getting the tattoos on, I mean, that's a personal choice. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I wanted to get me a Raiders tattoo myself. I had one at a guy that I knew that had one, and I wanted to get one just like his, but with a little bit of different context with the how the shield was going to be. Um, and I had the pre-draw for it, and I was contemplating. And the guy said it was, and this was back in 1996, right after my daughter was born, and he wanted $400 for the tattoo, and it was going to take about, he said about 10 to 15 hours total to do it the way I wanted with the shading and everything. And I was going to put it right on my shoulder and have it come down into the upper part of my bicep. So I still wanted to keep it underneath the shirt. So, um, and one of the biggest reasons why is because of my dad. My dad was opposed to tattoos. He felt that it's a momentary expression that you permanently place on your body that years down the road you may regret. And sometimes getting a tattoo, you first of all you're having somebody else do permanent marking on your body, and who's to say 10, 12, 20 years down the road you look at it and you're not happy with it, now what? I know they have the technology to do that zapping, but who wants to go? That's painful. Those guys that do that go through and get those tattoos removed like that. Ooh, no, thank you. I just covered up with some makeup or something so people don't see it. But that's a personal preference. Like I said, I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I kind of like tattoos, and I've seen a lot of beautiful artwork that really impresses me. But out of respect for my father, who's no longer with us, who passed away in 2004, I will not to this day get a tattoo. Besides, I'm 53. Why? It's kind of late. Forget it. Money Chuck comes in with another one. Hot take, hot take. Uh, let's. I think the fact that Max didn't address it speaks volumes. Just because he talked about it living in Vegas, owns a home, there's absolutely no meaning behind it. Well, you know, I don't. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because but there was two people in the room when the conversation happened. It was Jay Glazer and Max Crosby. I myself was going to take what Max Crosby has to say about the situation and what Jay Glazer said. I'm thinking maybe he's taken what Max told him a little too far. Um, because like if I was Jay Glazer and Max is telling me this stuff, I would be like, "You don't really mean that, do you? You are so embedded with the Raiders organization, your love and your passion for the Raiders and the fans. You really want to think about forcing a trade?" That would be my response to it. And leave it at that because technically, if you think about it, that conversation should have never left that room. There's a time and a place, but now I can tell you this: I don't think Max is going to be sharing information with people like that anymore. But Money Chuck, thank you
That
so
is
much, brother.
simply amazing.
Thank you, brother. Let's see. Oh, crap! I'm in trouble here. I'm gonna get to you here in a minute. Rosetown, you got one here for me. Facts: Jacoby would take hits to never complain, and Da was complaining all the time. Yeah, I think with Jacoby, it wasn't so much the play itself; was the financial aspect of it. He was looking to get paid, and he wanted wide receiver number one money, but he didn't earn it and wasn't gonna get wide receiver number one money. But I thought maybe top tier wide receiver two money would have been satisfying to him, and that's exactly what Jacksonville did. They gave him. I think they were about a million and a half more than what I was projecting that he deserved. But at the same time, um, uh, I think we could have done something with that. But hey, you know what? If John Switek says, "Hey, we can go in a different direction and make things better," we got a fourth and a sixth round pick for him. So we got two draft picks for him. So that's not a bad deal. So Luke, I am not bueno. One of the OGs from the 401 Raider Jeff side of things. And I think we click in chats and on other platforms, but that's the big one for us. Duncan, he's giving you a shout out too, Duncan, just so you know. Money Chuck, I saw 4 interviews today with Max. Not once did he address nor was he asked. We watched him long enough to know he would have said something today. Yeah, and that, like I said earlier, I haven't seen any videos. I really haven't looked for videos. I was kind of busy today with my mom, taking care of some business with her, um, and I didn't really dive into looking for any videos or videotaped interviews with him regarding it. I know there has been some videos out there. The article that I read is actually one of those that sometimes the people are right, sometimes they're wrong, and you just got to take it with a grain of sand. They're not quite CNN, but they're not quite Fox News, I guess. And even Fox News gets it wrong too, guys. So, I'm not bueno. Come on down to SoCal, JD. My lady will link you up. We will get you suited up in some badass Raider ink. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I could one midlife crisis away from getting a tattoo, but like I said, the biggest drawback is out of respect for my father, the greatest man I ever known and loved and miss. And I don't think, out of respect for him, I don't think I'll ever do it. But I can tell you this: if somebody does get a badass Raiders tattoo, I'm gonna tell you it's badass. JD, get a water transfer tattoo of the Raiders. That's a lot of Cracker Jack boxes I'm gonna have to open up, huh? Hits Boy Radio, thank you, brother, for coming in. Salute to you, my friend. Salute to you, um, and to all those that are in here. We're down to only 8 people watching, man. Come on, I know I ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but good God, I got a good combo, right? I can shake it with the best of them, you know. Donuts Duncan Raiders saluting. I am not bueno. So is everybody pretty satisfied with what we talked about with the gossip and news? Some of you guys that have got in here late, we already kind of went over a little bit with the Super Bowl and expectations and whatnot. And my one of the key matchups that I'm looking forward to watch is Jackson Smith and Jigba going up against Christian Gonzalez. I am really looking at two really young studs getting after it. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't know. I mean, I can see the Patriots running a lot of cover two out of that. Maybe a little bit more Tampa too to get that underneath cut off with the linebacker. That's also if Spillane's playing. If Spillane's not playing, that's going to change a lot of that, right? So kind of a little bit of excuse me, a little morph onto the defense. And Vrabel is pretty creative with he's got a nice defensive playbook at his disposal to go after it. So yeah, give me your score predictions. What do you guys think, man? Well, I'm gonna throw mine out there. I got 31-17 Seattle. I think going into halftime, it's gonna be about a 17-10 game going into halftime, and I think Seattle comes out third quarter and puts a couple quick scores on the board, makes it 31-10, and then just holds down the fort and grind clock from there and get the win. Uh, it's they're playing chess, not checkers this week, so there's going to be um, a lot of decisions that go into it. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is which coach is going to make the stupid call on a fourth and short on the plus side of the field when they don't have to, just because they're down one score. I don't know where those analytics came from. Punt the ball, get your defense back out there. You get a good punt out of it. Get your defense out there. You might get a shorter field with a fresh set of downs. You know, and on the flip side, you're giving your offense a chance to come out, rest a little bit, get their bearings a little bit, so that the defense does go out there and get a 3 and out or maybe a 5 and out type situation, and gets the ball back. And usually, maybe you got the ball back at the same location. Now you can start all over and start attacking the field. So, which coach is going to make that stupid decision to go for it on fourth and short? Rosetown coming in with 27-17, pretty close to what I got. Got a 31-17, somewhere in that ballpark. I think early on there's going to be a lot of because we know the pregame of the Super Bowl a lot of times can take uh, where the players overhype themselves a little bit and their emotion. They got to kind of settle down and get get the breathing under control, and they start. The game usually in the first quarter. You see a 7-3 or 3-0 in the first quarter, But once they start getting clicking, I think these two teams, the way they're designed, the way they prepare, they're going to be prepared. Is it the ebb and flow of the game is probably going to be more later first quarter into the second quarter. And then we'll start to see some really good football after that. I'm hoping. I'm hoping for a really good football game. Um, the weather's going to be. I don't know what the weather's going to be quite yet. I've heard like 30% chance of rain. Um, who knows? They're playing in Santa Clara, which um, that stadium is horrible. For being as new of a stadium it is what 12, 14 years old, and the overall it's just not. I'd rather have the Oakland Coliseum, boys. I really would, even with the overflowing sewer and and the seats that aren't bolted all the way to the stadium that move around and things like that. But there's something to be said about that Oakland Coliseum, and it was very special. It was I had season tickets there for 9 years, and then I had partial season tickets for 4 years, where I'd buy 4 game packages instead of buying the whole package. Money Chuck's coming in 27-17. Seattle win. I think Seattle has a 14-point or so lead going into halftime. And New England catches up. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't think it'll be quite a 14-point game, 14-point lead. More of a maybe a 7 to 10 point lead. I know this that if Seattle can put a get them up, if they can get up 2 scores going into halftime, coming out of halftime, then you'll start to see Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel reach a little bit with what they have at their disposal for play calling. And some of that is going to put Drake May in compromising positions. And like I said, Dexter Lawrence and the boys up front on Seattle, if they can bring it. Just ask old Matt Stafford and Brock Purdy. Those guys, when the going gets tough, man, they could be just as nasty as any defensive line in the NFL. So, Warriors come out and play. Yeah, I don't pay attention to basketball as much as I used to. It's gotten the NBA basketball has gotten so atrocious and so bad. Um, with all these guys chasing rings and building super teams here and a super team there, and I'm Kevin Durant. Why don't you two come over here and play with me? And just there's no real true competition that's consistent throughout the NBA. Besides, and the players that they have now that are their featured quote unquote face of the association, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. I'm sorry. I wouldn't even hire LeBron James to promote. I wouldn't hire LeBron James to promote pantyhose. I'm sorry. No knock on Joe Namath, by the way. Pats just beat 2 top 5 defenses that were better than the Seahawks. I got Pats 31-24, 14-14 at halftime, 17-0 after halftime. Pats halftime adjustments. So you're kind of in that same ballpark, but you're flipping the teams, right? You're going Pats on one side. I'm Seahawks 31-17, and kind of the same ballpark of how the scoring is going to go and things like that. Right on. Yeah, I can dig that, but as a Raider fan, my natural hate is the Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Niners, and then throw the Patriots in there. And then back in the day it was the Steelers. I've grown away from the Steelers, having hatred for the Steelers. But the Patriots, especially with what's going on, and we'll talk about a little bit more with the Hall of Fame. We'll get into the Hall of Fame a little bit here in the chat. So if you guys want to talk about the Hall of Fame and whatnot, be ready. It's coming. All right. So a little bit later in the show. All right. I think Hollins has a big game, yeah. Yeah, it could happen. Darnold. I'm thinking not Donald, but Darnold for Super Bowl MVP. Sam Darnold for Super Bowl MVP. It's kind of a gimme, right? Being a quarterback on a team that's probably gonna have the most dangerous offense per se, the best offense out of all of them. Um, I can see that being an easy pick. Um, but think outside the box. Who do you think? I mean, come on, guys. Let's. Who do you think could snatch an MVP unexpectedly? You know, maybe it's Stephon Diggs. Hmm? Maybe Stephon Diggs becomes Super Bowl MVP. And trust me, if he wins the MVP, he'll let you know. He'll let you know. He doesn't need any endorsements. He'll endorse himself on that one. That's for sure. So, anybody got anything left for the Super Bowl? What are you guys going to eat? It's on the menu. I'm contemplating brisket nachos with pepper jack queso. Those are really good. Um, Only thing is, I gotta go get the brisket tomorrow and get it prepped. It'll take me about 8 to 10 hours to get that brisket done just right before I can chop it up, spread it over some nacho chips, and layer it with some queso and some green onion and olives and um, a little bit of chopped jalapenos, just like you would any natural nacho, but just kind of think outside the box a little bit. And I've actually made them before with using regular Lay's potato chips that I throw in the oven and sprinkle some lime juice on it in the oven and get them a little bit crispier. Put them in the air fryer, not the oven, the air fryer. Get them a little crispier there and throw them in lay them down on a plate and put your toppings on and go to town. Maybe some chicken wings. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. You guys going chicken wings? Some buffalo sauce, some ranch sauce. What kind? I don't know. I think I'm getting Donuts Duncan hungry here. Um, he's still in the chat. He's probably mad at me as I'll get up. But anyways, any of my partners from the 401 Raider Jeff, if you guys are in here and you're watching and you want to jump in now, go ahead, jump in. We can chop it up a little bit as to what's going on. Let's talk Hall of Fame. Anybody want to talk about the Hall of Fame and what they saw in the Hall of Fame? And what's your overall take of this Hall of Fame? I think it's a really good class. I really do. Obviously, Drew Brees, first shot, boom, you're in. I like seeing Luke Kuechly in. I know there's some people that say, well, he didn't do it long enough, but he did do it. And when it comes down to a linebacker that could absolutely positively change the outcome of a game, he was one. I put him right up with the Ray Lewises when it comes to linebackers. I really do. He was that effective. That just sucks it. He had an injury plagued career and it was shortened, and I wish he could have went out 13, 14 years with the same type of production. But I really like it. Roger Craig. Why did it take so long to get Roger Craig? Bill Belichick and Robert. No, bullshit. Why did it take so long for Roger Craig to get into the Hall of Fame? I want to know. Does anybody have any answers? Can you tell me, anybody out there in chat land, why he didn't get into the Hall of Fame sooner? Now, mind you, I'm not a 49er. I hate the 49ers, but I respect good football players, and I like good football. And Roger Craig was once a Raider. He played for us. And wasn't too bad. He actually he wasn't a cancer. He wasn't a deadbeat. He contributed. He made some good plays and was effective for us in a very short amount of time. I think it was 1 year. I think it was only 1 year that he played for us, and this was during the Plan B free agency type stuff with him. We got him and Ronnie Lott and Ricky Ellison from the 49ers, and they played for us. I know Ronnie Lott was fun to watch him play for us, but why did it take so long to get right? He literally was a trendsetter when it came to that West Coast tailback, right? Not only was he effective between the tackles, but he was effective in the pass game. 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. First person to ever do it, right? That's a quintessential. For those of you that like to uh, pump on stats, that in and of itself should have been at minimum, second year Hall of Fame inductee. I can see maybe the first year riding it just a little bit, so the cause could be created a little bit better. But this long, guys, come on, man. Why? Adam Vinatieri, not gonna knock it. I really ain't. What a clutch field goal kicker he was. Um, I wouldn't put him in that like booming leg kind of kicker. Kind of what you're seeing now, where these guys are basically chip shot 50 yarders or chip shots now for him. But when it come down to game winning, game tying field goals, whether it be with the Colts or the Patriots, it didn't matter. When when either Tom Brady or Peyton Manning spiked the ball to kill the clock to bring the field goal unit out, they had all the confidence in the world that that guy was going to come out and win the game for him. That's huge. That's really huge, and he was definitely he earned the right to be in the Hall of Fame. Now I'm not knocking it. So um, I think the slope or the mountain that special teams have to specialists have to do to get into the Hall of Fame is a little bit steeper. But those that have climbed that mountain and then ascended, they deserve it. Okay, don't Ray Guy deserved it. Ray Guy should have gone in way sooner than what he did. But as long as he got in, that's the important thing. And we'll talk about some Raiders that should be in the Hall of Fame as well as we go forward. Let's see. There was another one that I was going to address. Uh, uh, okay, Larry Fitzgerald. I think Larry Fitzgerald's the only one that I'm missing. I knew there was one I was missing. Larry Fitzgerald. Um, Most definitely. I That guy was he was a core wide receiver. Did everything the right way. Played for one team for 17 years. Um, was super reliable, dependable. Um, Never complained. Just went out and did his job. He was he was the Cardinals' Tim Brown, right? We have our Tim Brown. That was the Cardinals' Tim Brown. Um, I wish Tim Brown would have got in a lot sooner because let's face it, had there's a difference between catching being a Hall of Famer catching touchdowns from only six quarterbacks versus what Tim Brown did, catching passes from I think it was 29 different quarterbacks that he caught touchdowns from. And I truly think that had Tim Brown and Rich Gannon and John Gruden been together for 9 years or 8 years, that this whole Hall of Fame thing would be a different story. And so notable finalists who did not make it: Bill Belichick and Eli Manning. The 15 modern era finalists included Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Frank Gore. So there's still a lot of really good players that were finalists. I think Frank Gore is just a matter of time. Hopefully, he doesn't fall out over the next 2 or 3 years, um, because I truly think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm going to talk about Raiders that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And there's two in particular that I think absolutely positively should be in the Hall of Fame, and it's a travesty that they're not. And that is the 1983 AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year, none other than number 93, Greg Townsend, who is our franchise sack leader. Okay? He holds the record of all-time Raiders as the most sacks. Okay? Numerous Pro Bowls, Super Bowl champion, All-Pro. Okay? So what's the criteria for getting into the Pro Bowl? Well, a lot of people say it has to be, it's personal accolades is what it comes down to. It's not team accolades, it's personal accolades. What did that player contribute to the game? What did they do to show successes in that game and accomplish those successes? That's Greg Townsend in a nutshell. He did it. He did it for a long time. Another guy that didn't complain, did his job. The running mate of Howie Long. You know, if you're going to go in and you're going to start putting defensive lines in, a whole defensive line into the National Football League Hall of Fame, well, there's two guys that played together consistently for years and were terrors at best, were Greg Townsend and Howie Long. Now, Howie Long went in. He's already been in for a long time now. Why isn't Greg Townsend? Could somebody please tell me why Greg Townsend is not in the Hall of Fame? Did he get caught using steroids? Did he cheat? What was it? I don't think if you ask any of the voters, I don't think there's a viable excuse. They don't have a viable excuse. Now I'm going to get to the second guy that I think needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That's a Raider. Lester Hayes. Why ain't he in the Hall of Fame? Oh, he wore stickum. Stickum. He didn't get all those interceptions without those stickum. Because when they took the stickum away, his interceptions went down. Okay. Watch him. You're a voter. Did you watch him play? I mean, what did he do in Super Bowl 18 against the Redskins? Him and Mike Haynes, who is in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Now, Mike Haynes had a previous career in New England that we traded for, brought him over, and finished that year with him at the other corner. And those two were absolute beast. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those two right there. I put them up against any combination of cornerbacks that ever played in the game. And I'll beat you to the punch. Lester Hayes was Revis Island before Revis Island. Go back. The videos are out there, guys. Go into YouTube. Watch some of the old games. Just watch Lester Hayes. That he constantly was in position, constantly disrupting patterns, and off the edge blitzing. Are you kidding me? He had 2 sacks in the AFC wildcard game against Houston in 1981. You know, he was a consensus All-Pro Defensive Player of the Year. Right? Leads our team in receptions. In 1981, he had 13 interceptions. Technically, he had 17 interceptions. 4 of them were overturned by penalties. But he wore stickum. Okay. Stickum was legal. Everybody had stickum on. There's a ton of people in the Hall of Fame that wore stickum. Tons of people that wore stickum in the Hall of Fame. Jerry Rice still used it after it was banned. He'd put the clear stuff on his wristbands. Or he'd turn the tape upside down on his wrists and then put a little extra coating on there. So he had it on his wrist and then just kind of. What was the problem with stickum? Did it really give you an advantage on catching the ball? I don't think so. I mean, that stuff basically, the tackiness wore off on it within minutes. That's why Lester kept so much of it on him. He put it on his socks and stuff. So whenever he hit the ground or get his hands on a receiver and start to lose that tacky, he'd do like this. And if the tacky would start going away, he'd reach down the socks, grab a little bit more, or if somebody out on the field wanted a little stick 'em, he'd just hold this, stick his foot out, reach down, get some stick 'em off the Lester. Lester was the one that he was like a assistant equipment manager when it came to the stick 'em out on the field. He was more than happy to bring it out there and help you out. So, um, I think that using the Stickum as an excuse to not get Lester Hayes into the Hall of Fame is a travesty. It's a bigger travesty that they waited until after Kenny Stabler and after Cliff Branch to induct them into the Hall of Fame after they passed away, knowing full well that those voters of the Hall of Fame, they knew that Kenny Stabler deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. They knew. But Paul Zimmerman, one of the voters, Sports Illustrated columnist, he said, as long as I'm alive, Kenny Stabler will not get into the Hall of Fame. And why? Because it was a personal event, a personal beef between the two. Well, you need to just vote no, but leave your problems away from everybody else. Let them vote on the context of what they're seeing. Okay, if he deserves to be in the Hall, somebody deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. They deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Does Bill Belichick deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Does Robert Kraft deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. But just because they weren't in on the first ballot doesn't take away that they're not going to ever get the opportunity to be in there. Maybe it is a solidarity spike where the voters rose up together and said, we're not putting them in as first ballot Hall of Famers, because being a first ballot Hall of Famer has kind of a mystique to it, right? I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer, which means you're an absolute, no questions asked. Your bus goes right to the front of the line, and you're it. So what? Belichick didn't get him. Now, I also heard that some of the reason why Belichick didn't get first ballot Hall of Famer is because there's still the potential he could come back and coach. I don't think he comes back to the NFL and coaches. In fact, I don't even think he lasts this year in college. I think he's going to be pretty much done with coach. Him and Pete Carroll are going to be fishing with Jimmy Johnson out in the ocean somewhere. Maybe one of them will push the other one into the ocean. Who knows? But in the long run, our Hall of Fame has to be prestigious, just like the Baseball Hall of Fame. It has to be prestigious. It has to be, what did you do to contribute to the NFL for your team, and how important was it for you with that team? Not so much statistics. I mean, let's face it. Terry Bradshaw did not get in the Hall of Fame because of his statistics. He didn't. He got in the Hall of Fame because he was a leader of men. He was the director and the commander of a 4-time Super Bowl championship football team, and he was their statue for that team. He was their emblem for that team. So I'm constantly going to beat the table for Lester Hayes. I've met him several times, had many conversations with the man. He just lives right here in Modesto where I live. Run into him every now and then and have a conversation with him. And the one thing that he will tell you is he had a great career and he loves being a Raider through and through. Even today, he bleeds silver and black, and I want to see the man in the Hall of Fame. He deserves it. He deserves it. The top 50, you take the top 50 interceptors of all time in the NFL, 48 of them are in the Hall of Fame. Only him and that Sharper kid that played for New Orleans that went around committing all those heinous crimes with women, and that's the reason why he's not in. But if you just look at his football acumen, you know, where he was as a football player, he deserves to be from a statistical standpoint. He's just as good as the rest of them. And you can look it up. Just look up top 50 in all-time leaders in interceptions in the NFL, and Lester Hayes is right there. But again, it's Stickum didn't help him cover the people. Stickum didn't help him with dropping his hips and breaking. Stickum didn't help him jamming the receiver at the line of scrimmage and gaining an advantage. Stickum didn't help him with his arm length. If you ever watch his tape, you see his arm length. Man, he could jam you from 2.5 yards away and knock your teeth loose. Bear with me, got a helicopter flying over. They're not looking for me, but that didn't sound good. We've had helicopters crash behind our house before. That didn't sound good. I'm not bueno coming in. Nah, Pats beat Stroud. MF threw 4 interceptions. He's been ass. We give a little bit of credit to the Patriots on that game. They did what they had to do, and they stayed with it. I hate to say this, but I think what we've seen out of CJ Stroud is going to be the best we're going to get out of him. Super talented kid, but I think that's the best that we're going to get out of him, because I truly think the absence of Tank Dell hurts him tremendously, because having that 4.2 speed on the outside to open up the middle, that makes a big difference. I mean, it does. You send Tank Dell on a 9 route, or a fly or post corner, and you just send him on the route, and it's like the secondary has to respect his speed. He's so fast, or he was. I doubt he's going to be as fast, and I pray the kid gets to come back and play. But if anybody saw that injury, it was one of those. It's probably lucky he still has his leg. Nico Collins is another guy that's really good, but in the playoff game he was banged up. I believe he had a hamstring injury, if I'm not mistaken, in that game against the Pats. That changes things, and I don't think C.J. Stroud can just get you down the field using just tight ends and a average to below average wide receiver core. He's going to need weapons. But I think that's with everybody, man. Come on, let's face it. Every quarterback that plays in the NFL needs a weapon. They need weapons. Sometimes 2 or 3 weapons, not just one. Because just one is easy to scheme up defensively. Right? So why not have multiple weapons? Do we need weapons? Absolutely. We need footballs. We need kicking tees. We need pylons for the end zone. We need offensive linemen. We need defensive linemen. We need linebackers. Need another couple cornerbacks. We're going to need probably another safety. A wide receiver or 2, depending on how well the other 2 come out of their freshman year and roll into their sophomore year or their second year in the NFL, how they roll into the second year, how much they progressed. I think Jack Besh can be that guy. I mean, such a small sample size that we got of him last year. I mean, they never really even, the kid never really got a chance. And then when Aiden O'Connell came in and played, and Aiden O'Connell gave him some targets, it was like, I think this kid can play. I really do. I think he could be one of those guys that can get you anywhere from 6 to 10 catches a game and anywhere from 65 to 110 yards a game. I really do. And sprinkling touchdown here, touchdown there. Number 89 is our weapon. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We know that, Raider Nation. NFL knows that. There's no secret behind 89. We just got to keep him healthy. because you can tell without Brock Bowers on the field, it hurts and it hurts bad. And I like Michael Mayer, but um, there's only so much he can do versus Brock Bowers is a special breed. He's a dude. And Michael Mayer, I think, is probably one of the top 10 tight ends in the NFL on at any given time. I would put him in the same category as Knox, Kincaid, um, maybe even Laporta. Pretty close. Maybe a better blocker. Um, but he's not in that Kelsey, Brock Bowers. And you got to watch out for Loveland and Tyler Warren, those guys, because they're good too. It's amazing how well the tight end position has really become an integral part of today's NFL. And the kid coming from Oregon, Shadiq, he's going to be good too. Just keep your eye on him. He no slouch. Hits boy, I think for a rookie, he got Mendoza, pocket Besh, working the middle would be something he leans on. But put Besh in a slot. I think Besh is going to be more of an outside receiver, only because you get his size and strength out on the outside, and you utilize it a little bit more. Slot receivers, that's more of a Trey Tucker style, but we can also get another slot player in a draft. Maybe in the 4th or 5th round, get somebody that's a good slot receiver. But on the outside, we're going to need more outside help because I don't trust Thornton. I think Thornton, even when he was in college, was kind of a one trick pony, I guess you could say. I mean, you could tell he only caught 25 passes in college, so he only caught 25 passes his last year in college. Other people. Got a lot of background noise, my friend.
No, that's my baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
You say hi to Raider Nation. Yeah, I just got home. Thought I'd say hi to everybody.
Yeah. Well, we're down to 6. We were at 25 until you popped in.
Oh, darn. Well, then I guess I better get out of here.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm about 10, 15 minutes out here and go down and get some dinner going. And then we got other guys coming on tonight that are going to be having some shows. I believe in the description. If you guys go in the description, I put Chewy's coverage in. If you guys go down there and support this guy on his channel, Chewy's Raider coverage, he'll be coming on, I believe at 5 o'clock tonight. He's going to be going live. Basically, same stuff. We kind of cut from the same cloth. Central California guys, type thing. And diehard Raider fan. He's younger. Obviously, he's about the same age as my daughter. So, but he's got really good content. The skipper tonight, I believe this skipper does have a show tonight. I thought I saw something in the studio that he had prepared. Usually on Friday nights, he has a show that's called what's called No Huddle. No Huddle is an attempt by him, and he's doing a really good job with it, is bringing in fans of other teams. Instead of just talking Raiders, bring other fans of other teams in and really celebrate the culture of football in and of itself. And because we have a stigma as Raider fans of being ignorant. I don't know if you know that, Duncan, but every time I ever run into fans of other teams, Raider fans are just stupid. Actually, Raider fans are a lot smarter than you think. A lot smarter than you think. I think that guy just had a bad run-in with some drunk ones. That's all.
Well, but every fan base has some really bad and dumb ones.
But I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw Chewy's link in the chat. If any of you guys, if you've never been on his show, here's his chat. Go over to his channel, hit the subscribe button for him. the likes, and tell them I sent you. Tell them, hey, Raiders First Down sent us over to watch your show. Does a good job, man. He really does, and the kid's smart, sharp, passionate about the Raiders, and just loves doing what he does. And yeah, I know he puts out a lot of shorts, but he does run a live. I think me and him are going to collaborate eventually, maybe sometime as we get closer to the draft, so to speak. I know I wanted to collaborate with the skipper, but hey, it is what it is. I don't know. It's up to him if he wants to do it. But we're going to get more into it. We're going to dive into it a little bit more next week. Big week for us where we get to announce our coach, hopefully. I'm confident it's going to be announced. I don't think there's going to be, but you guys all know, being Raider fans, and it happened to us before with Sean Payton, where he left us at the altar. You know, I don't think it's going to happen because I think you watch that interview today with Mendoza with Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I watched, I think, pretty much all of it. I might have
Yeah.
stopped it like a minute short, but it was really good.
Did you catch some of the nuggets about Kubiak in that interview?
Yeah, how they base some of their offense off of Kubiak's offense and like other West Coast similar offenses,
Yeah.
the Shanahan's and all that.
Yeah, he actually came out and said we only run. We only run 45% RPOs.
I don't get any more candy.
A lot of people are under the misconception that that's all they do is run. That's all Indiana did was run RPO. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? I watched the Wisconsin game, and I swear to the holy, they ran spider 2 wide banana down in the end zone for a touchdown. That's not an RPO. It was dead on. It was just as if Steve Mariucci or John Gruden or Mike Shanahan called that play. It was just the only difference was they didn't run reverse. The quarterback did not reverse pivot, so he straight pivot, and I think the reason why behind that was because there was a hot blitz in the A gap. Him and the running back noticed it, and he just got out the hell out the way so the running back can hit that blitz. That poor running back got lit up on that play. But yeah, go back to the Wisconsin game and see it down in the red zone. A nice play there that kind of reconfigures that. And then, we're going to get more into it. I know Raider Nation, we have this team trade back, Team Mendoza, right? And I get it. Totally understand. And I'm not 100% saying that it has to be Mendoza, but there has to be a plan, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the trading back for the sake of just getting extra picks is the right choice.
No.
And in fact, what's his name from the Baltimore Ravens? Who's the GM for the Baltimore Ravens? Played tight end for the Cleveland Browns.
Was it Ozzie Newsome?
Ozzie Newsome. He always his philosophy was your first round is your blue chips, especially in the top 15. You're going to have your blue chips that are going to be absolute, right? Then 15 to 25, you're going to have borderline blue chips or guys that are just right there at the cusp of being absolute play game changers, but at the same time need a little bit more love in the film room and preparation and maturity, but they'll get there, right? And he always said that, and your trade up and your trade back is only, you're not going to do more than 5 picks up, 5 picks back, because when you start chasing the trade back, you're going to screw up your draft board. And then when it comes time to make your pick, you're not going to have the person that you wanted there for you. Now, going from 1 to 2 isn't going to change a whole lot except for the Mendoza factor, right? I get that. But that number 16 pick, going back to 16, now that's a bonus pick, right? So we got 2, we get 16, that's a bonus pick. But what's your draft board look like at anywhere from 13 to 18? What's it look like? Are you sold on what you see at 16? you know? And then you'll hear, well, why don't we just trade the number 16 back and go get an extra second round pick?
Well, if you're
Well,
not sold on anybody at 16, why are you going to trade back from there?
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, if you're really sold on a player, you take them when you have a pick.
Yeah. And if you don't, have plan B ready to go to turn that card in. It's like, and it's okay to say, hey, we were looking at this guy, but this guy fits our mold here, what we need. It fills a need, but he's a BPA as well on the board. For us, we're taking him. Right? But we'll as we get closer to the draft with everybody, we'll talk more about it. And I think a lot of questions will be answered because now people will have more time to dive into it. Much like, except for like me and you, where we're watching it real time as the season's going on with the college prospects, versus wait until the end of the season to go, well, open up and look at a draft board and go, and I'll go watch some videos on him or watch some highlights on him or watch some highlights on him. The thing I take away from it, and the reason why I'm probably sold on him so much, is because watching him live and see how it just played out. If he can replicate 3/4 of what he did this year at Indiana, we're good.
Yeah, no, I'm fully confident in him. He's got the smarts for it, and he's slightly more athletic than a lot of quarterbacks, and he's got a strong enough arm where he's got a good arm, and he can hit all the NFL throws. Every chance he's gotten, he's hitting the majority of them.
Yeah, and I've heard people say, "Well, he can't throw the deep ball."
Well,
What?
that's coming from people that don't watch film. So
you might before you say that, you might want to watch. Here's some plays, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to dig out. And I'm not going to I'm not going to do any all 22 or put plays up because of the copyright crap that you got to go through. And I know 805 does it. He does a great job, and I respect 805 for what he does, and he's got great takes on it. But also too, there's more to it than that. Some of the high throws, for example, I don't like some of the high throws. Well, I don't know if anybody's figured out. I have that some of the high throws that he made were because that's his receivers chose. That was their target. That's what they wanted. You know what I mean? Some of the throws to Decker made it really good behind. That was all on him. Well, hold on a second. Decker wanted that ball hip level on the back shoulder. He didn't want it up high because he knew that the cornerback was going to be anticipating the high throw. We'll go back and watch the play. When the cornerback turned around, he was looking up. The ball was down low. Right? I mean, just little things like that. And then there was one game where Cooper is on the outside and he runs a 6-yard slant down towards the goal line, and you see him go like this, like that, as he's making his cut. What's that tell you? Throw the ball up. I'll go get it.
Yeah, they definitely play smart together as a group, and they know each other. And it just goes to show how much practice that they put into working with each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see pretty much nothing but positives when it comes to Mendoza and that Indiana football team. I mean, when it comes to Mendoza himself, it gets into the nitpicking areas.
Yeah, and I could see there's a lot of apprehension. This is new territory for us. We don't always have the number one pick in the draft. Hold on a second. I'm gonna kill the blinds behind me. The sun's coming down into that window. Hold on. Oh,
I only meant to stop in by for a couple minutes.
that's
I
fine.
got get some family time in.
Yep.
But salute Raider Nation. Have a great night, and hopefully everyone enjoys their Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep.
And have a great rest of your podcast, Jason.
We'll do. We're almost done here. We're wrapping it up. We're going on an hour and 40 minutes. So, yeah, we'll chop it up later. I've already got Tuesday's guest lined up. And so I got the studio. I'm working on the studio for that and whatnot. So we've got that covered for this week. So the Raider Nation, Show Me Your Shield, starring Donis Duncan and myself. We'll have a guest on Tuesday. Hardcore Raider fan that was a lifelong, or not lifelong, a long time season ticket holder in the Black Hole, section 10 something. I remember he told me, but it's in the Black Hole. And he's got a couple pictures of him in the Black Hole. And if anybody ever been to the Oakland Coliseum and saw what the Black Hole was like, my seats were right above it. I liked the section 206 because I was right up underneath the overhang. So when it rained, I didn't have to wear rain gear. I just sit right there, and I didn't have rain coming down on me, and could see the game. And pre-snap, post-snap, I had a guy that sat behind me that was a college coach that was teaching it. He would, the first couple years that I sat there, it was great because he would be like, okay, this is what Denver's gonna do. Watch how the guard and the center get out on this block. And I'm like, they're going to run the ball already? Yeah, they're going to run the ball. It's a running play. It's 1st and 10 on the 45. They're running the ball. So, so be it. Hey, little housekeeping before I wrap this up. Everybody that's in the chat, Hits Boy, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, I've seen that kid's pretty legit too. Curious to see where he goes. It's going to be a run on defensive tackles from anywhere from pick 9 to pick 45. There's going to be a run on a lot of. There's going to be there's some really good defensive tackles in this. Messidor and Bain from Miami. You got Bailey and Height from Texas Tech. The kid from Oregon that you're just talking about there. Mason Randolph from Oklahoma. He's another one that is going to be right there. I wish I had because I got faces and I can see faces and numbers and teams. Illinois, the kid from Illinois. Doggone it. Another one. But yeah, there's going to be a huge run. There's at least 10 really good, I'm not saying elite, but really good defensive tackles that can come in and make an immediate contribution on any NFL franchise. And so, but yeah, Hits Boy, when we start getting our draft, come on in, man. Look for 401 Raider Jeff as well. We'll do mock drafts and piss each other off. And like last year, I was like, we should take Dylan Gabriel in the 5th round. And they'd laugh at me. And it's like, well, shit, he went in the 3rd round. What the hell happened there? It was a little high for Dylan Gabriel. I thought 5th round was, you got an extra 5th round pick. That's a round you just go, I'll take him. You never know. You never know what you might get. And those 6th and 7th rounds, you're going to be filling in predominantly backups and practice squad in the 6th and 7th round. Maybe you hit on somebody in the 6th and 7th round. But your first 4 rounds are your money rounds. And second, I'm not a big fan of trading back in the second. I'm okay. Let me rephrase that. I'm okay trading back in the 2nd round. Don't go too far. Because you start to get out of that top 50 and because what it comes down to, folks, I'm going to say it one time, I'll say it one time, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again. There comes a point in time where your draft picks the quality of the draft picks mean more than the quantity of the draft picks. Okay? That's a fact. The quality of your picks means more than the quantity. Because your chances of getting a large haul and hitting on every one of those picks is not that great. But if you're at the top of the totem pole with a good pick, you stick and you pick. Let that guy come to you. Let that guy come to you. You're gonna have an idea, you know. Do I agree with Ashton Genty at 6? I'm not a big fan of taking a running back at 6, but by golly, where does the position outweigh the actual player? You know, where does that when does that happen? You know, I mean, Caleb Downs is a safety. I think Caleb Downs is a top 3 pick. The first jersey he puts on when he gets selected and he hits that field, he will be an all-pro. He will. He's that good. He's a leader. He's intense. He plays the safety positions just like Charles Woodson did. So let's face it. We could do better. I got a text message coming in. Let me see. Okay. All right, got that. Yeah, I'm not gonna play that on here because I'm not in a position to be messing around with copyright infringements and stuff. But there is a YouTube short that Donuts Duncan has. Donuts, if you want to clip that URL and throw it in the chat for everybody to see, so they can see it for themselves, I prefer that than to play it. That way we don't, because I'm still learning as to what parameters you have of playing content, the other people's content on your channel. But we can definitely share URLs, the links. Throw you a link for that video. We can put that in the chat. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just start to get into that weird. YouTube's really weird about that stuff as to what expressly is protected content and you using it for your benefit and blah 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 blah. So if I can do a whole podcast, do this for however long and it not be an issue, so be it. That's what I'm gonna do. Just like the music that I do it straight off automatically. It automatically tags it with the certificate and I don't have to worry about it. YouTube already knows. As soon as they pull it up in the description, I have permission to use that song. So and for anybody out there, just so you know, it's right here. Go into the description box, clip that, throw it in your URL bar, and hit send, and you should be able to get that short, and it should answer a bunch of questions for you. And I'm trusting Donuts Duncan and the content of that short. I haven't seen it for myself. I'm trusting him as I have to. Well, I don't have to, but I do. That the content of that short is going to answer the questions that we were looking for earlier in the broadcast. So, if anybody else, down to 7 people, I know we had 25, 30 at one time watching us, maybe more. If you guys, really in all honesty, I'll send some clips out with the views, I'll send some shorts out, clips, see if we can't build this channel a little bit more. I think if we were to do it right with what we have, who we are, myself and Duncan, I think a lot of you guys would be happy with the content that we provide and how we go about doing it. It's just a different perspective. And I'm actually looking forward to doing a show with Chewy. Really, in all honesty. Ain't nothing better than doing a show with a young buck like that. Especially as passionate as he. You gotta realize that kid has never seen winning Raider football. You know? So and he still has just as much love for that team as I do. And I've been around. I've been around for all the Super Bowls and championships and things like that. So, but anyways, we are at hour and 50 minutes. I've had a lot of fun with you guys. Keep your eyes open. If you have subscribed to my channels, there's about 160 of you that have subscribed to my channel. On YouTube, it's Raiders First Downs, youtube.com. Hit that bell that says all. So every time I post something, you'll get the notification. As for Raiders Pride and Poise, I don't have a set date and time to air this. It's just a solo project that I'm throwing together. I will, from time to time, just like today, have my partner come in and hang out for a little bit. Maybe the skipper will come in and hang out with a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I think the skipper's pretty much fed up with me and done with me. I think he's, I don't think he loves me anymore. But I love him. Kind of weird, huh? But hey, anyways, you guys, thank you so much for coming in, stopping by. Hit them thumbs, man. Hit them thumbs. Okay, the more thumbs I get, the better, and I can get some more stuff out to you guys. But in the meantime, stay safe. Enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend, and we'll see you later. And as always, there's only one nation, but the Raider Nation.
Cold open, counted out. Yeah, we heard the talk. Cold nights and long losses, still we walk. Scoreboard hurt, but the heart stayed real. Still wear the black, still flash the shield. From Oakland roots to Vegas dust, pain in the season, but we still trust. They say it's over, I say move on, but Raider pride don't ever gone. Show me your shield, hold it high, don't bend. Show me your shield, ride it out to the end. Win or lose, yeah, we still reveal Raider Nation. Show me your shield.